Hey, so looking at the back of our character, we want to try to add a little bit of detail into the motion of his back. So mainly we can see when his shoulders are going back and his arms are going back. We want to get some of that definition that we would get from, you know, um, the real pinching that you're going to get of the skin here. The skin right now, because of the rotation points being so far in, would really swing out far. So we want to create something that's, driven more closely to the skin here, that would really kind of cause this, the crease that you get kind of between your shoulder blades and be driven by the shoulders. So what I'm going to do is just from go back to our default pose and kind of draw out the basic motion of this of our basic little rig for the scapula. So let's go to a top view. Say hello to our guy again, and let's just draw a quick skeleton. So the area that I want to affect is going to basically compress right here, and I'm going to have it actually driven by the upper arm, not just the shoulder. So when the arm comes back, even if the shoulder doesn't, I want to have that affected a little bit, and I want to have it really stream across the character. So I'm going to start my joint over here. Let's see, we go a little bit. Okay, I'm getting some selections in there. Let's select nothing. Let's just create a joint, and we're gonna set it in here, kind of pop it out, and then I want to go down here to the upper arm. So that's gonna be my default scapula joint for now, and we'll see. We'll kind of adjust it as needed. First thing we'll probably need to do is raise it up into position. That should be pretty good, and let's kind of pull it out. And I'm actually going to do quite a few adjustments onto it. So moving it out a little bit and rotating it back in. And giving it a little bit of an angle. So that's essentially going to be what we're going to want. And really quick, I am going to just throw my K handle on it. And move it into position so that I have it kind of starting off where I really want it to be. Get the bend angle the way that I want, the alignment on that upper arm the way that I want. So what I'm going to end up doing, and then delete my IK handle just really quick, and freeze my bones out so that I get the a default orientation so that everything is 0. I tend to work in situations like this. I like to freeze all my rotations so I have a starting point that's fairly neutral. So what's going to happen is if I want to put the IK on this and have it driven by the arm, as the shoulder and the arm go back, they're going to basically compress this system right here, and that will then drive my skin. So let's take this and just really quick, I'm just going to parent the IK to the arm there, and again this is going to be driven based off of my chest. So I've got that, and to really stabilize it, you should put a pole target on it and basically have it driven by something stable. I would probably choose the vertical axis of the spine, but since our character's not going anywhere for now, this should be pretty good. So you can kind of see the result that we're getting. We're getting this push out based on that shoulder motion. And conversely, we would get the kind of a wraparound as it went forward, which might be a bit much for this character. So we can adjust the position of the IAK target so that we have more or less of that influence as we see it necessary. We can also put limits on it. So let's go ahead and add these bones in as influence to our skin. So again, I'm going to add an influence, lock the weights, add it in, and let's paint the skin weights. Okay, so the first joint, we'll just start. We'll go to a position where we've got it coming back. Start painting it in there, and I'll go to joint 2. A little scapula there. And so this is to do 2 things. One is to create the little bulge of the scapula, but 2, to just, have connection with the whole trapezius that comes from your neck all the way to your shoulder and all the way down your back. Really is connected, and it connects right all the way up under your delt. So we want to kind of get this thing so that we don't have a total separation between all of our parts. But just really quick, you can kind of see the extra result we're getting in there. Something a little more realistic. Go in and modify our weights. Add a little more here, and then probably smooth that or take some away in here. And again, we can go in and paint weights till the end of time and get the result that we're looking for. But essentially, that's going to give us the basic motion of a scapular rig with crappy weights, but we can go in and paint that in later. So moving on. Most of the parts of the character you're going to see are going to have exhibit again those same types of linear motions in order to solve some of the problems associated with the default skin. Another common one is looking at how your leg is joining in your body. So one of the things that we're going to see here is that it looks like we're losing a lot of volume. And if you look at what actually appears to happen when you're bending your leg, you'll see that this tends to rise. You're seeing the position of the crease as the leg moves up. It goes higher and higher and higher. So we can go in and create that same type of vertical motion, based off of the leg. As the knee comes up, we can have something here that basically drives this area and raises the position of this crease. Because this crease is actually, kind of from this view, something that we'd want to see exhibited in here. There are creases and wrinkles in our characters. We just need it at a new position. So by having something that would linearly drive this up, so that crease is up here, would help that drastically. Usually you'll find that most of your problems are not within a single tubular structure. they're when, one tubular structure, hits another tubular structure. You've got legs and arms coming into a torso and things like that. So those are some basic techniques that you can use for just taking some simple things to help improve your deformations. And I think for one of the next couple of topics, I'm going to kind of move off of this topic, and I've actually had some requests to show how to build some simple helper utilities within your rigs in order to help the animation process move along smoother and to get more functionality out of your rigs. So let's start looking at a couple of these extra little tips and tricks for building your animation rigs. So one of the useful things you can add to your characters is the idea of movable pivots. A lot of times you're going to have something that this is my hip control, and it moves from there, and that's all fine and good. But sometimes you're going to have a control where for one shot or another, it's fantastic that it's here, but I really wish the main control for the whole thing was up towards the chest. So being able to click the right button and then be able to relocate a control and essentially give it new functionality could have some great expanded use within a singular rig. Like I can have a character who's hanging by a limb, literally, and then take the body control, relocate it, and now I have self-contained within my rig a way that I can have my character follow that. And then I can even if I've designed my rig to set the right way, I can have my feet even follow that main body control. So I now have a movable pivot that essentially can is affecting my whole character, and I can move that anywhere. I can move that so now my character is he's tied up and hanging by his feet. So there we go. So how does this thing work? Well, there's a couple of different principles that we need to look into, and the first principle is the fact that what we need to do is we need to back out the work that's been done by animating one object, by negating it onto another object. So we have this object here, which we're rotating, or sorry, which we're repositioning. For one object to be able to move while another object stays stationary, so if I'm moving the pivot, that this stays stationary because I'm removing that on a node further down before it affects this hierarchy. The other thing you need to know is that essentially you're changing where you're rotating from. So anytime you actually have a rotation and then you move it, you're always going to get it sliding. It's going to move around because essentially you're now rotating from that new point. That's the point I rotated from, or that's the point that I rotated from. So you can write yourself tools to prevent that slide if you need to, on one frame reposition, where your pivot is. Essentially, you can grab the current location, key it, move forward a frame, move to another location, rekey the world space, something like that. But so you just need to keep in mind that while we're negating the translation in order to get this to move to a new location, we're not negating the rotation, because the rotation is what we want. The rotation is what we're actively carrying through the whole system.